Huh. So, Pokemon Sword and Shield is a thing. I mean, I guess I can't say that I'm too surprised that it looks the way how it does, but it is a little disappointing to see that their first console debut looks like, well, it looks like this. That's not to say that the game looks bad or terrible. On the whole, I think that the game looks fine. The graphical quality just isn't there, and I know I might get hanged by my entrails for saying this, but it does look like that they upscaled a 3DS game to 1080p with some slightly better texture work. But the art style and the use of bright colors and lighting does soften the blow, making the game feel easy on the eyes, I guess. The region itself is pretty interesting. You know, it's based off the United Kingdom, which is a region that I don't really know much about. Honestly, the more I learn about the region and the more videos that I watch about the game, the more interested I become. I never really cared for Pokemon Sun and Moon. Like, I don't like the setting, and I especially don't like the way how those games were structured. So, at least from a visual standpoint, I am sold on the setting. Really, my biggest hope with this game is that we don't get another game that's as hand-holdy and as linear as Sun and Moon. If Sword and Shield can be more open-ended, then it would already be a much better game in my book. Now, I'm not asking for a Breath of the Wild levels of openness, but I've always wanted to see a Pokemon game that's structured in a similar style to A Link to the Past or A Link Between Worlds. And to those who think that I have my expectations too high, Pokemon Let's Go was able to achieve something very close to what I'm describing. Since HMs aren't in that game and they were replaced with the special moves, it opens up the game quite a bit. Like, once when you get Surf, the rest of the region completely opens up, and it was a lot of fun to explore Kanto in that way. So I'm hoping for this kind of open-ended structure to come back for this game. Now, one turnoff for Sword and Shield, however, is that the random encounters are back. I usually don't mind them, but ever since they did away with them in Let's Go, it's been hard to go back. It made the region feel more lively than ever before, and I also love seeing the different types of Pokemon in the towns. This is something that the Detective Pikachu game nailed, seeing how people and Pokemon lived side by side. Now, I get it, these two games are spin-offs, but they had great ideas that should absolutely be implemented into the main games. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I think Let's Go deserves a lot more credit. Plus, since Let's Go did away with the random encounters, it encouraged me to explore more thoroughly. I mean, you think I'd ever want to explore Mount Moon in Red and Blue? God, no! But in Let's Go, I took my time exploring all the areas because I wasn't constantly being stopped in my tracks. I'm sorry, but that's a massive turnoff for Sword and Shield. That's not to say that I'm completely sold off of the game. Like I said, I'm still interested, but it's more like as if I'm cautiously optimistic for the game. I still have my hopes despite me feeling disappointed that it doesn't seem to be taking the things that worked in Let's Go. Like how the Pokemon get to follow you around in that game. You know, before you say that that would be too difficult, Pokemon Sun and Moon were supposed to have this. The models and the animations are there, but they're unused. So seeing how this game is taking things straight out of X and Y in Sun and Moon, I'm not sure why it's not here. Now, with all of that said, this game is still in development and is planned to come out late this year. No doubt this is going to be the Switch's holiday title, so there is still time for them to polish up the textures and maybe, hopefully, have the Pokemon following you around again. Some other things that I'm hoping for is either the return for Pokemon Ami or some other way to interact with your Pokemon. I think X and Y and the Gen 3 remakes handle the Pokemon Ami system the best. You can pet and feed your Pokemon, but you can also play minigames with them to earn more food. I didn't like how they took away the minigames in Sun and Moon, but being able to cure ailments was incredibly useful. That's actually one thing I was disappointed with Let's Go. How you can only interact with your Pikachu or your Eevee. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was adorable, but I mean, come on, I want to interact with all of my Pokemon, you know? This next one is a no-brainer, but character creation and customization needs to come back as well. One thing I never understood with these games is that you can't create your character from the start of the game. You can pick from a number of presets and then customize them later on, but I'm not sure why we can't just create a character from the start of the game. Lastly, I'm curious to see what kind of side content and post-game content that Sword and Shield is going to have. Like, if we look at Pokemon Ruby, for example, we had the Pokemon contest, we got the game corner, we got the secret bases, and then in the remakes, we got the Delta episode, and then we got to hunt down the legendaries. You know, flying around or hoeing on Latios, hunting down legendaries in the sky, like, that was the coolest thing, and it shows off the massive scale of the game. Or how about in Gold and Silver, after you beat the Elite Four in Johto, you get to go back to Kanto, and at the end of it all, you get to fight Red. I mean, that stuff is really cool. Of course, there are plenty of other examples on how to handle side content like this. Those are just the ones that immediately came to mind. But the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because the biggest criticisms with X and Y was that there wasn't any decent post-game content. I can't really say anything on Sun and Moon's content because, you know, after I beat that game, I turned it off and never looked back. I do not like that game, I'm sorry. Now, with all that being said, it's still way too early for me to be excited for the game. And honestly, I'm just making this video just so I can have my thoughts out there, just so I can have my thoughts on the channel, just so it's here, you know? I'm doing this more for me, because, you know, the game looks good. But when I see gameplay of Yokai Watch 4, for example, a game that I don't really know anything about, I can't help but wonder why Sword and Shield can't look as good as this one. You know, before you say that Game Freak hasn't worked on a home console game before, well, take a look at Town, for example, that one RPG that they're making. I mean, I don't know, just in my opinion, that game looks more visually appealing. But, of course, I'm willing to give the game the benefit of the doubt and say that there's still plenty of time to polish the visuals and improve the textures. Now, again, just keep in mind, this is all just my thoughts on a 60-second trailer. You know, if you're excited for this game, man, that is awesome. And I'm not trying to take away anything from anyone. These are just my thoughts and opinions. You know, because I'm interested to see how this story is going to unfold. You know, I'm interested to see how this region compares to the others, and I'm especially interested to see the new types of Pokemon. Sobble specifically, I adore. Like, you know this little guy is going to be my starter. So, if I couldn't make it any clearer, I'm interested in the game, but I'm not necessarily excited. You know, if we had things like a controllable camera and no random encounters, then yeah, I think I'd be more excited. But as it is, first impression-wise, it does look a little underwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. But you know this game is going to be Nintendo's big game that they cover for E3 this year. Like, you know, before they had Zelda, they had Mario Odyssey, and then last year they had Smash. Like, this is going to be Pokemon's E3. All I hope is that they have a lot to show, and the content that they do show is worthwhile. I mean, even still, if you're a Switch owner, then you're going to be all set for 2019. Like, we got these Pokemon games, we got Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, Mario Maker 2, and Link's Awakening to look forward to. I mean, I guess we also have, we have Luigi's Mansion or something, but, you know, I don't really, I don't really care about that, so, you know. I mean, even looking past the massive first-party releases, we're getting a buttload of Final Fantasy games, Dragon Quest XI, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and even games like Persona 5 and the Kingdom Hearts collections are heavily rumored to be coming to the Switch. You know, all of these and countless other RPGs on the system, this is so great. I'm not gonna lie, I love this fucking thing. You know, on a side note, it has nothing to do with anything, it really gets me hoping that we get like a new Golden Sun game. You know, hopefully Camelot sees that there's a lot of RPGs on this thing and be like, oh hey, RPG is selling on this thing, let's fucking make one, boys! But yeah, those are my quick thoughts on Sword and Shield. It doesn't look bad, it doesn't look great, but I am interested to see how this game is going to shape up. I'm not sure why everyone has to be at each other's throats over this game, but I guess that's just how it be sometimes. So, you know, you might be wondering, Ryan, why did you make this video? It was so short and it was stupid. Well, like I said, I wanted to do it for me. You know, just sometimes you gotta do stuff for you gotta do stuff for the people who watch your stuff, but sometimes you also gotta do stuff for you, and I think that is important. But with that said, what do you guys think about Sword and Shield so far? Post a comment down below, let's get this ball rolling! It's like 10 o'clock and I'm making these stupid fucking voices. You know what, you know what, good night everybody! It's getting late, I got work in the morning! Good night everybody!